I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And in fact, we're going to be talking about a lot of light in the sky, because if you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is Moving Closer to Commitment. And the reason why is that on Saturday, we are having a full moon at 1 degree of Capricorn. And because the moon only moves half a degree an hour, it takes 2.5 days to move 30 degrees through a sign. So the full moon is going to be in force all weekend. And Capricorn rules the traditional 10th house of your career and your public reputation and your standing in the community, and also rewards that you earn over a long period of time through hard work usually. And so it can rule your pension plan or your retirement funds, and also your retirement plans. And so Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, and that means that it also rules commitment over time, and generally based on proven results or hard work. And so this is a time when you can be moving a little closer to home. And the reason why is because we know that under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun. Well, there's only one planet in Capricorn, the moon, on Saturday, but it is being opposed strongly by 3 planets in Cancer. The sun is at the same 1 degree in Cancer on Saturday, exactly opposite the full moon, but Venus is also in Cancer, and so is Mercury. They've moved out of Gemini. And so these 3 wonderful planets are rather strongly opposing that full moon in Capricorn, and that's why you could be getting a lot more serious about your career and your home life, both at the same time. And therefore, you could be moving a little bit closer to a commitment, not only to maybe even moving back to an old neighborhood or to a place that reminds you of when you were younger, when your own career plans were forming. And so that's why you could want to be moving a little bit closer to home or to a former neighborhood of yours. And yet, at the same time, you can be reviewing lessons that you learned when you were younger. And that is why, since there is a trine both in the earth signs, which Capricorn is a part of, and in the water signs, which the 3 planets in Cancer are a part of, that's why you can sort of combine and work with plans you have to be a little bit closer to your work and also to have a better home life. And that might be because you're sort of going back to lessons you've learned from the past, or a simpler lifestyle, and perhaps one that isn't quite as expensive as the one you've already been living. Who knows? And so it can be that you're moving closer to your roots. That's what I mean by moving toward a commitment. You may be closer to what's really at the root of your values and what you really think is important to you. And so that's good. That would certainly enhance your career as well. And so maybe you can combine both career and home life in a way that you've never done before, but it could really work out. So moving closer to your roots would simply mean that there could be some rather good results for that. And one of them is that since you are trying to, I think, combine the strength that is in the sign of Cancer with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury there, with the full moon that's in Capricorn. In other words, you have your mind on your work, but you also have your mind on your home life, and perhaps moving back to a place that's more familiar to you, that you can really flourish in. It means that you may be able to feel better right now about a lot of things. The water signs rule our feelings. Well, there's 5 planets in water signs. The actual strength is in the water signs. And that's because that Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Cancer are all being trined beautifully by Neptune and Saturn, which are both in Pisces. Neptune has moved up even closer to the end of Pisces, but it's still there. It's at 29 degrees, 54 minutes. It's only got 6 minutes of 1 degree to go before it gets into Aries, but it won't do that right now. It's going to go retrograde, back a couple of degrees, and then come forward and cross over that 29th degree of fate again in March for the last time. But for right now, these 5 planets, the 3 in Cancer and the 2 in Pisces, which are all trining the sign of Scorpio as well, the 3rd water sign, which rules justice, and it's a financial sign, so there can be some financial matters that could be getting a lot of help or support right now, or there could be solutions that you can work on right now, which is good. But it simply means that you could feel better. Your emotions could feel better. If you're moving back to somewhere that's pretty familiar to you, or you're recalling the lessons that you learned when your own career ambitions were just forming, you could be a little bit more focused clearly on something. And also, your home life could improve. And that's why you could be a little bit more confident in yourself and in not only your feelings, but in the feelings of the people that are important to you. And so that is sort of an added bonus of this. And then, since there is a trine in the earth signs, because that full moon in Capricorn is trining 2 very strong planets right now, that is Mars and Uranus in Taurus. But the full moon is trining them, and Capricorn is a business sign, and Taurus is a fixed financial sign. So in your youth, or when you were growing up, or when you were listening to your teachers, or when you were first forming your career ambitions, you may have learned from your parents, or just the sort of the school of hard knocks and the challenges that you may have faced, that hard work pays off. And if you learned that important lesson, I hope you never forget it, because it's really true. Hard work pays off. And so you could be even more dedicated to your job, but at the same time, you would be able somehow to maybe do it a little bit more economically, particularly if you lived a little closer to it, or if you were able to draw on past experiences or things that you learned from your parents or your teachers, or a valuable mentor that you may have met sometime in your life, and that would sort of calm you down, not only making you feel more confident, but it would actually be making your job a little bit easier, because you'd be more clearly focused on what was important to you, which is good. And then there are some other planets that are trining each other as well. And that's why we can be moving closer to commitment. Sort of the way the stars are working, it looks like it's going to help all of us to have this full moon in Capricorn, which is a pretty serious sign. And so another 2 planets are trining each other beautifully. And it is Jupiter, which is in Gemini, and it will be for a whole year, and it is trining Pluto in Aquarius, where it's the sign of the future. Together, these 2 planets are trining the sign of Libra as well, and that is where there is a powerful solar eclipse occurring in October, and Libra rules partnership, and it rules the law and all legal contracts, and it rules diplomacy and tact and art and beauty and decorating. And so what you can do is you can beautify your life, you can settle in something that is familiar to you, and that can help you concentrate a little bit more on your work. And so that is very good. And also, the air signs are conceptual. People who are strong in air signs, or planets that are strong in air signs, such as Jupiter in Gemini, trining Pluto in Aquarius and Libra, simply means that people can come up with very creative ideas right now. And some of them might be part-time, because that's what Gemini rules. It rules part-time or temporary work. So if you were looking to sort of change your home life and your career in ways where things are more compatible and sort of easier on you, you could probably do it. Maybe by working part-time at one thing and then part-time at another, and maybe that would work out for you. And the reason why it could probably work out pretty well is because there are no planets in the fire signs. So the impulsive, enthusiastic, but still aggressive fire signs. You know, there's nothing in them right now. So this is a time under the full moon in Capricorn, which rules the mountains and it rules the cold and it rules practical reality. This is a time with that full moon in Capricorn when you are going to be able to make cool, calm decisions that can move you closer to a good commitment that could last your whole lifetime. It could even be that you're deciding that you want to make a dream come true, somewhat at the last minute, because that Neptune, which rules dreams, is in its own sign, Pisces, but boy, it's really at the end of the sign. But maybe you can do that simply by drawing on some lessons from the past that you may have learned when you were younger, or going back to a home that, or a neighborhood that you're used to, and living a life that is something that you're more comfortable with, that could make you happier. So if you are making cool, rather calm decisions right now, particularly since there's no planets and fire signs to challenge you in that way, there's nothing that's going to be done impulsively right now, or at least it won't, if it is done impulsively, it won't work out. This is a time when if you can really calmly make a decision or move toward a commitment that you are serious about and perhaps have been thinking about for a long time, that would be very good for you, both personally and professionally. Remember, Capricorn rules your 10th house of career. But all those planets in Cancer say this has got something to do with your home and the way you want to live. It may be that you'd like to simplify and have a happier home life, which you could feel better now about something, because there's a grand trine in the water, or a trine in the 5 planets in the water signs. That's half of all the planets up there. So do you see, if you sort of listen to your heart right now, you could make a calm, simple decision that could move you closer to commitment, and it would help you both professionally and personally. It's a rather good time to get a little bit serious about yourself. Why not? The stars are with you. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, for you, Aries, that full moon in Capricorn is squaring your sun. So there could be some sort of challenge to a career choice that you want to make right now, and you'd have to think about something rather carefully, I think, because the planets in Cancer are also, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury are also squaring your sun. So that's 4 planets squaring your sun, Aries, and there's no planets in the fire signs at all. None of the fire signs have backup right now. So, Aries, even though you're very good at sort of being a pioneer and just starting things enthusiastically, remember your sign has nothing to do with finishing things or ending them, but you're really good at making new beginnings. Even if you're wildly enthusiastic about that right now, I think that you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to face the challenges that your career is presenting to you, and some more challenges that your home life is presenting to you, and they could revolve around costs and your long-term plans, and particularly financial matters. Mars and Uranus are in Taurus right ahead of your sun sign, and they're being trined by the full moon this weekend, but there's also being squared by Pluto in Aquarius, and that's going to be a long time square, years. And so when Pluto is squaring Taurus, it's actually going to square or oppose all the fixed signs. We'll have to change our thinking about what's important to us, and you will too, Aries. So this is a time when you might want to step back a little bit and just think of very calmly and coolly. You might want to think of, well, okay, I know what I want, but what's obtainable? What can I commit to that I can really succeed at right now? Not something highfalutin, but just something that would be a little bit more comfortable to work with and that I could succeed at. Because you did have a solar eclipse in your sun sign this spring, and that simply means you really could make a new beginning. But I think you're going to have to consider a lot of different things right now, and maybe not aim for your top goal, but aim for something where you are maybe even a little bit better prepared for something that is more achievable at a secondary level, and decide on that instead. Because you are facing challenges from 4 other planets, the full moon in Capricorn and the 3 planets in Cancer. And the next solar eclipse in Libra will oppose your sun. So you have to sort of carefully think of how to scale back a little bit right now, Aries. And I hope you do, because when people are moving closer to commitment, it means they can make calm decisions based on feeling better about something. And everybody can feel a little bit better now, because the strength in water signs is very beneficial. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. Well, the full moon in Capricorn is actually trining both Mars and Uranus in your sign. And those 2 planets, which are malefic planets in your sign, could use a little relief because Pluto is squaring them, and Pluto is in Aquarius, the sign of the future. So there are other people that have future plans that are looking toward tomorrow, and they either don't have enough money, or else they're looking for other people who can help them with those plans. And either way, you may not be crazy about going along with them, and they too could sort of pass you by as well right now, Taurus, because they are really looking pretty far out into the future. And one of the outstanding traits of your sign is that you're very good at looking straight ahead, and your sign is a good, steady, hard worker, really hard worker. Now, since yours is a fixed financial sign, you like to get paid well as well. And right now, there may not be as much money around as you think, Taurus. Even though the full moon in Capricorn on the weekend is trining your sun, that means you need to stand back and look at your career, where you are in your career, at what level, and how much hard work is ahead of you. Or would you rather retire? Would you rather sort of try something else in the future, and maybe if you're close enough to retire, you could, if you've put enough money away, you could financially benefit from that, and that might be a good idea. Because you could always get a part-time job doing something else, Taurus. But this is a very good time for you to think very seriously about how you can keep your hands on your own money and really concentrate on that. Because for many, many years, Pluto is always going to be squaring your sun, whether Mars and Uranus are there. Actually, Uranus will be there, getting squared by Pluto for another year. It doesn't leave your sign for another year. Mars will move on, but Uranus is going to stay there, and that's a malefic planet. So there is the possibility of, if you're not watching the money that you've earned hard, by working hard, there is a possibility there could be sudden changes. And if you're not sort of on top of it right now, you could regret not paying attention to your financial resources. And so you have to calmly, and the full moon is trining your sun, you need to calmly sit down this weekend and go over all of your financial resources and try to sort of map out a simpler plan for your life, one that's more affordable. Just in case the value of your investments and the income that's generated by them falls, and it might. And so you need to be real careful what you're doing, Taurus. And that is why moving closer to a commitment that you can live with and that you can afford is very important right now for you. So I hope you're paying attention to that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini. Remember I said Jupiter's going to be in your sign for a whole year. Lucky you. It stays in every sign for 1 year, so it takes 12 years to get around a chart even once. And so when it comes into a person's sun sign, we say that their life is going to expand. And generally, when Jupiter comes into somebody's sun sign, they also have a little tendency to gain weight. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful, Gemini, not to overindulge too much this year, because you could put on a few extra pounds. But on the other hand, your career can expand, your life can expand, your contact with the public is certainly going to expand. And so that's good, because Pluto in Aquarius is going to be trining your sun the whole time, except for a couple of months at the end of the summer when it retrogrades, but it'll come back into Aquarius and continue to trine Jupiter in your sign until Jupiter leaves next summer. And so you are under wonderful aspects for a very harmonious partnership, a better legal contract. Certainly you'll have the ability not only to simplify your life in one way or another, but you could do something part-time, and you could do two things part-time, which if they were both 50%, that would add up to being pretty busy, full-time. But you could do it, Gemini. So this is a good time for you to look around for new opportunities. And you have 3 wonderful planets, including your ruler, in Cancer right ahead of your sun sign. So you could have your mind on home and family and moving and cooking. Cancer rules cooking. And it rules agriculture, and you may even want to take a vacation, a short vacation to a summer home or something like that. And that would work out really well. So simple summertime pleasures can certainly be on your agenda, and you would certainly enjoy all of them, Gemini. You're going to have a great summer and a great birthday too. So I wish you the best of luck. But remember that the full moon is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is a serious sign, and it rules your 10th house of career and your public reputation and rewards you've earned over a long period of time. So it rules business things, and it rules bureaucracies. And so, you know, it rules big corporations and big government agencies and big institutions and the administrators in them. Capricorn rules administration. And so this is a time when you may be involved with some of those people, or at least be thinking a little bit on more business-like terms, particularly this weekend while the full moon is in your sign. And that wouldn't hurt you at all, Gemini. I mean, Geminis are pretty lighthearted people, but we do have to sort of think of what we're looking at down the road. That's why the show is called Moving Toward Commitment. We have to, all of us have to ask ourselves, not just what kind of good time we want to have this summer, but where do we want to end up? That's the question. And I think that we're going to be able, all of us are going to be able to come up with answers that are right for us, that can make us feel better and can profit us or benefit us both in our careers and in our home life, so both personally and professionally. So good luck, Gemini. Use your good fortune wisely right now. I hope you do. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. This is a time, Cancer, when you can be sort of glowing, and that's because you have Venus in your sign. You could certainly want to look better. Well, that's fine. That's great. And that's because Venus rules beauty, but you could also be having your mind on a move, and it may be back to somewhere that's a more familiar place. It could be closer to your roots, to where you grew up, or where your original career ambitions were forming when you were younger. Or it can simply be that you are looking for a way to be a little bit more economical, and that could involve, you know, moving back to an old neighborhood or somewhere that you're so familiar with that it's not really going to cost you any more money, or it's not a place probably where your costs are going to go up any higher than they are already, because you know it's a familiar area to you. So you can be feeling right now, even though the full moon in Capricorn this weekend is opposing the sun in your sign, and it's opposing Venus, and it's opposing Mercury in your sign, I would say that yes, you should be, if you could, move a little closer to your job, because that means that you wouldn't be spending so much time away from home. And so if you moved a little closer to your job and it was back in a familiar area that you're already used to, that could just sort of take some pressure off you, Cancer. And because you'd be in familiar surroundings and you'd be closer to work, and that makes your job a little bit easier and your home life a little bit nicer as well. And this is a time when a dream at the last minute could still come true for you, Cancer, because the 3 planets in your sign are on this weekend are all being trined by Saturn and by Neptune in Pisces. And together the 5 planets are trining the sign of Scorpio as well. If there's anybody that owes you money, Cancer, or property, if there's a property question or something, you could probably get that settled to your benefit, which would be good. And so you should consider that. You have a very good planet right behind your sun sign. Lucky you, it's going to be there for a whole year. And that is Jupiter in Gemini, right behind your sun sign. And so you're going to be much luckier behind the scenes than you think. And when Jupiter is behind a person's sun sign or in the 12th house of their chart, which is the house of limitations, they have few, if any, enemies. You know, so there could be people that might have been your enemies in the past, but where'd they go? Well, in the next year, they're going to sort of drift off or disappear, or they won't be able to bother you the way they had bothered you in the past. And you're good in that sense. You'll be much luckier because you'll feel better. You won't have the controversy, perhaps in the background of your life that you had experienced before. Now that could be because you're simplifying your life in some way. Maybe you are moving back to a familiar neighborhood. Maybe you are moving closer to work and moving to things that just make you feel more settled. Cancer rules the last half of life. Cancers are usually not happy, truly happy, until the last half of their life. And generally they have a childhood that can be sad or troublesome in some way, and that can affect them when they're younger. But we all grow out of things, and since Cancer rules endings, the ending of their life is fantastic. Just exactly what they want. In fact, what they wanted all along. It would just have taken them a long time to get it. And sometimes children that are born under the sign of Cancer when they're younger, they go through a lot of childhood illnesses or drawbacks or problems, and they outgrow those as they get older. And that's why your sign rules endings. Because if you're thinking of moving toward a commitment that is something that can be easier for you to handle, or forming a partnership, or making a wonderful dream come true at last, that could be the stepping stone to happiness for the rest of your life, Cancer. And it probably would be easier than you think. It's just that, you know, you can profit both professionally and personally in your career and in your home life by making some sort of commitment that brings you a little bit closer to your roots, or to the lessons that you learned when you were younger, that can help you in your career and can help you move forward, not only toward career fulfillment, but toward personal happiness and happiness for the rest of your life. You know. And Cancer, Jupiter is not only right behind your sun sign, which is a fantastic place to have it, but it's coming into your sun sign next summer. And so life is going to get better. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, that full moon this weekend in Capricorn trines 2 planets that need to have something good happen to them, because they're both malefic planets and they both square your sun sign. So the full moon in Capricorn is trining Mars and Uranus in Taurus. But Mars and Uranus in Taurus are squaring your sun, Leo, and Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sun. Okay, so you have got 3 heavy-duty planets, 2 of which are malefic planets in a fixed financial sign, and they're challenging your sign, and there are no planets in the fire signs. There's no backup at all. Okay, so what are you going to do, Leo? Well, the full moon is still in Capricorn. And since it's trining planets that can be giving you a little trouble right now, so I think you have money problems in one way or another, Leo. Since that full moon is trining the Mars and Uranus in Taurus that is squaring your sun, I would say that there is probably, if you maintain your cool, if you just are calm and you don't let your feathers get ruffled over anything, but you are just businesslike right now, because Capricorn rules business, and you settle a financial matter, you have a rather good chance of getting it settled instead of having it really bother you. And it's up to you, Leo, because there aren't any planets fortifying any of the fire signs. If you want something to work, you're going to have to make it work. But you might be able to do that if you just stick to straight business terms, and you might not get everything that you want, but you could straighten out a business matter, and you would need to do that in order to move on. And why dig a bigger hole? Why stop yourself? Don't do that. If you can be in control of your own emotions, and you can just keep thinking about the facts and your future and what you want to do to make a new beginning, then even if you have to settle some financial matter that is not completely to your liking, this is not the time to be stubborn, Leo. This is the time to settle. Because actually, you might come out a little bit better than you think on that, because that full moon this weekend is trining Mars and Uranus, which are strongly squaring your sun. And that gives you a little bit more help than you've had before. So, remember, Capricorn rules business matters and bureaucracies and government agencies and large institutions. And, possibly if their policies change, it could help you iron out a financial matter that really needs it. And if you don't get it ironed out, it's going to stop you in so many different directions. You're really sort of like, you're defeating yourself. Why do it? And you have no backup. You will have to concede. You will have to say, okay, this is business, I'm going to do it. There are some times in business when you lose money. And if somebody wants to stay in business, then what they have to do is write it off. They have to say, okay, that didn't work. Write it off. Start somewhere else. It's the only thing you can do, or else close your doors. And so this is a year when people can start over. So try not to get stuck on yesterday's battles, Leo. Save your energy for doing something new. That's where you'll shine. You just got to sort of get over something that you're not going to get all your own way. But the sooner you settle it and you write it off, the freer you are to go on. So think about it. It's up to you. All right, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo. This is a time, Virgo, when I think you're going to benefit from some sort of business matter that sort of goes your way. This may surprise you, Virgo, because I'm not sure that you're in control of it going your way, but somebody is. And that is because the full moon in Capricorn is trining your sun. And so are Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And that's good for you, Virgo. You've got 3 strong planets. And remember, when we were younger, forming our own career ambitions, the one thing that we learned from the earth signs is that hard work pays off. And so there's a trine in the earth signs now with these planets, and those 3 planets are trining your sign. So you could be looking at some sort of accolade or reward, and it might be a financial reward. It could be a raise in your job. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Or it could be that some of your investments are worth more and they're paying off. Or it can be that you are sort of figuring out a way to manage your money more effectively, and you may be wanting to sell some things that don't look profitable anymore and put that money into other things that can produce more income down the road. Remember, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of time. And so Virgo, you really need to think of, okay, where are you going to be next year? Where are you going to be 10 years from now? or 30 years from now. And how are you going to afford it, Virgo? That's what you need to be thinking about right now. So if you need to move your money around, I think you're going to get some help with that. And that would be good. The world is in for financial challenges, and they are coming right up. And so people are going to need to make changes, financial changes. We may all need to make a commitment where we are moving a little closer to home, or we're moving in a way back to our roots and the lessons we learned when we were forming our career plans. And we're having to do things that have worked before. Fine. Working hard is one of them, and Virgos are very hard workers. But one thing that Virgo rules is banking. And so there could be some banking or financial matter or business matter or even government policy that's sort of working in your favor right now, Virgo. I would sure wake up and smell the coffee and take advantage of that if I were you. I mean, because, these things like policies, they change. And the value of investments, they go up and down. And so you have to be alert now to ways that you can benefit financially down the road. That's what Capricorn rules. Time. And that full moon's trining your sun, and so is Mars and Uranus and Taurus. So I hope you take advantage of that, Virgo, and really sit down, put a pencil to everything that your money is connected to, and ask yourself if it's working as hard as you want it to, because if it isn't, you better get on it and make it work a little harder, because you may live a long life and you're going to need to afford it. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when you can almost sit back and coast, Libra. And the reason why is that, for one thing, Mars is no longer in Aries. It isn't opposing your sun sign, which somebody who has been a thorn in your side for a long time, they're moving on, or they already have moved on. Mars did go into Taurus. It's not in Aries anymore. Nothing is in the fire signs. And so you don't have people that are trying real hard to punch your buttons right now, Libra. And that can be a relief, because that is the way a Libra works. Libras are sort of laid back. They'll do whatever they want to do when they get around to it. I mean, the air signs are very creative and conceptual. They're sort of always thinking of things, but that doesn't mean they're getting everything done. And so, Libra, it's very lucky for you that Jupiter is in Gemini, trining your sun for a whole year. That's very good, because Gemini rules part-time or temporary efforts, short forms of education. It rules short journeys. And so all of those things can benefit you greatly this year. So if you were just wanting to, say, increase your finances a little bit, you could take a part-time job and probably get it. You would also be very popular around young people, exceedingly popular around young people right now. And the reason why is that Gemini rules youth, and Jupiter is trining your sun. And you might be surprised, really surprised, that there can be some rather serious questions that young people have, and they could be sort of asking you for your opinion right now. Now that could shock you, because I know that when you're young, which we all have been, and growing up, we think we know everything. So why would we ask anybody else? But you'd be surprised, Libra. There may be some young people asking you for your opinion now. And it doesn't mean that they're always going to listen and follow everything that you say, but it's rather nice they would be asking you. And so I hope that you are not frivolous, that you take any questions that you get right now seriously, and that you think before you speak. Because maybe they're depending on you giving them guidance, and maybe they're not exactly admitting that they need it, but they do, or they wouldn't be talking to you. So think seriously about your answers, and remember that each generation is coming from a different time when they grow up. our parents were all born in a different time than we were, so they had different values than we grew up with. And if younger people are around or you have children, they were born in a different time than you were. And so, your values are not always going to match. But this is a very good time to have good conversations with people. The whole time that Jupiter is in Gemini, anybody could have a good conversation with somebody if they wanted to. So think carefully, because you're going to be very popular this year. And Pluto in Aquarius is also trining your sun. And that is wonderful for you. It means that people in high places, in upper management, or who are influential and are not fakes, they're people that have worked hard. They like what they see in you, Libra. That's quite a compliment to you. And I think this is a year when you should try to do your best and live up to your best. And not only for the sake of younger people who need guidance, but because there are other people that have been around for a while and they believe in you too. So you sort of have a lot of responsibility to move toward commitment, to get serious. Instead of sort of flitting around doing a whole bunch of different things, try to ask yourself what is most important to you and who is most important to you. Because your sign rules partnership. And this is a time when a wonderful partnership, could be headed your way, or maybe you're headed toward it. And that would culminate no later than the October eclipse in your sign, so it'd be around your birthday. And so, Libra, I would take myself a little more seriously if I were you. You have a rather golden future, or the possibility of it, in front of you. And the question is, when are you going to take it seriously and make a commitment? This is a very good year for you to do that. It's one of the best that you'll ever have. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time, Scorpio, when your sign doesn't have any planets in it, but it is benefiting from 5 other planets and water signs that are all trining your sun. Lucky you, Scorpio, because you see, your rulers are in trouble. And so that can affect you. That can mean that you could be the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time. But now, I think things can change for you. But the reason why there's still trouble is because your ruler, Pluto, is in Aquarius, being beautifully trined by Jupiter in Gemini. So, it's got some real good backup for the whole next year. Well, Jupiter is there in Gemini. But that Pluto is almost exactly squaring Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, and they are 2 malefic planets that can really get people in trouble, indicating that there are going to be some rather surprising and jarring changes in financial matters. So it could be changes in investments, it could be changes in anything that Taurus rules, which is high-priced everything. It could be changes in business methods or policies that change, and they may be due to the changes that people in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions have to make, and they would be changes that would involve pulling back. And that is because that full moon is in Capricorn this weekend, which rules all those things, and it is trining that Mars and Uranus in Taurus. So large businesses, government agencies, and institutions may say, we feel there may be the chance of our investments not paying off the way we'd hope they would. We'd better change policies. We'd better, usually a Capricorn, which rules being frugal, would tend to cut down or tend to look for things that were more low cost. Cut the heavy expenses. And that could do you a lot of good. If there's changes that occur this weekend that are business changes, they could be good for you, Scorpio, because something's got to work. And that full moon is trining those 2 planets in Taurus. Well, Mars and Uranus are opposing your sun. You have two malefic planets opposing your sun. Somebody wants to argue with you about money. I would even say, Scorpio, somebody wants to take your money away from you. Somebody wants their hands on it. And you might be able to benefit from the fact that that full moon is actually trining those planets that are opposing your sun. They're only doing it for the weekend, but that's better than nothing. And you really need to look over your financial resources. One of the things that I would suggest you do, Scorpio, is your sign rules credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance, inheritance, and grants. If you could look over those different types of financing and dealing with money problems and see where you're strong and maybe where you're a little bit weak. If only this weekend you were sort of cool and calm about moving closer to a commitment for your own peace of mind. You know, you have all those planets in Cancer, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, all trining your sun. And then you have Saturn and Neptune still in Pisces, also trining your sun. Nothing in your sign, and it's being opposed by those planets in Taurus and squared by Pluto in Aquarius. But you actually have more backup than you have challenges. It's just that the challenges are pretty serious. Not as many challenges, but pretty serious ones. And so you need to move into a more defensive position, Scorpio. And it looks to me like you can do that. You could make a dream come true at the last minute. You could move closer to a commitment that allows you to maybe move back to an old neighborhood or move closer to your work. And in a way that benefits you both professionally and personally, because the planets in water signs are so strong and they're all trining your sun, and that means you can make choices that make you happy. Just you. And this is a very good time for you to do that while maintaining some sort of cool, calm way of thinking your way out of threatening financial situations. And one of them could involve insurance, which your sign rules. And you may want to review how your insurance is working for you and if it is working at current values. Because if anything happened, you'd lose an awful lot if they were not working at current values. That's what I mean about simplifying your life. Everybody should be doing that right now. Capricorn is the sign pretty much of frugality. And it's a sign of people who want to, who are heads of organizations, but they want to stay in business for a long time. And that would mean they would be smart enough to know when to pull back. And you could benefit from that. The full moon in Capricorn is sextiling your sun. All the planets in Cancer are trining your sun, and so are the planets in Pisces. Do you see what I mean? Just keep a cool head, Scorpio. And I think you're going to do something that will make you personally happy, could help you move a little closer to your roots or the way you were raised, and benefit you not only personally but professionally. So you have a lot to gain. And once again, the fixed signs don't gain anything by being too stubborn right now, and that's because Mars and Uranus are in Taurus, which is a very stubborn sign. And those are two malefic planets. I hope everybody stays away from being too stubborn. It won't get them anywhere at all. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, there aren't any planets in fire signs. But Sagittarius, that would not stop somebody who was whose sun sign was ruled by Jupiter. Now Jupiter is in Gemini, and that's your ruler, and it is opposing the sign, your own sign. And so what does Gemini rule? Gemini rules short-term and part-time efforts and temporary jobs and short journeys and all short forms of communication. Okay, so it rules the ability to do two things at the same time, sort of half of one thing, half of another. And so that isn't always the way a Sagittarian works, but as far as mentally, a Sagittarian is very high-minded. your sign rules the courts, and it rules international law, and it rules religion and philosophy, and it rules long-distance travel and people from foreign countries. And Sagittarius, you may feel a little bit more comfortable moving towards some sort of commitment that may not be forever, but suits you a little bit better right now. And it could be something that is just part-time. It could be something where you are working more with the public. Gemini rules the public, and your ruler is in Gemini for a year. And, it's beautifully trined by Pluto in Aquarius. So your future may involve working more with the public now than perhaps what you're used to. But on the other hand, if that's the road to a better future, why not go on it? Why not give it a try? It doesn't have to be forever. Gemini rules short-term things. So it's a little different way of operating. What I'm suggesting is a little different way of operating, Sagittarius, than what you're used to. But after all, the road of life is a long one, and it does have a few curves and twists and turns in it. And so you can't go straight forward on everything. But this would be a wonderful time, Sagittarius, particularly since there's no planets in fire signs. There's nothing backing your sign up. When you might consider trying something new, but just part-time, involving more contact with the public. And I think it would work out really well for you. And you don't know, that's like getting to the first bend in the road. You don't know where that's going to lead, but you have nothing to lose. That that Jupiter in Gemini is being trined by Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto sextiles your sun, and it's going to be doing that for years. So your way into the future is now to try shorter term things. And give them a try. You don't have anything to lose, Sagittarius. It's summertime. Enjoy yourself. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, the full moon in your sign luckily does have backup. And that is because Mars and Uranus in Taurus, which are pretty much up to no good in a fixed financial sign because they're malefic planets, but they are trining your sun, Capricorn, which is wonderful for you. This is going to give you an opportunity either to see a way to make more money in your investments, or maybe you're starting a second career, or maybe you're thinking of changing jobs in some way. You may be moving closer to some sort of commitment that you are taking much more seriously than you used to. And it could be a business. It could involve a business, since your sign rules business. And Capricorns are really good administrators. They don't like to skip steps. They're very good at planning things, and then they're very good at following through and not being in too much of a hurry, making sure everything is done right. And that's how they get to be successful over time, because Saturn is your ruler. And your ruler, Saturn, is in Pisces, and it is sextiling your sun, which is fine. Pluto is in Aquarius right ahead of your sun sign, and it too is sextiling your sun. So you have some pretty strong planets that are sort of around you, sort of nudging you, Capricorn, to address financial issues right now that may involve making more money in one way or another, or redoing your investments, or looking for perhaps the same type of service that you're used to paying for or getting, but maybe trying to get it at a little lower cost. Nothing wrong with that. Capricorns are very careful with their money, and they're never broke. They have it somewhere. And generally they have that because they know they're going to live a long time. And so you could be moving closer to a commitment that has something to do with your career, or even a second career, or maybe even downsizing, doing something just part-time. But at the same time, you can be very interested in maybe moving a little closer to home, or working in a way where your home life and your business life, in other words, your personal life and your business life, are in closer unity, or they could make you happier. And that's what you have to look forward to, Capricorn. You had it a little bit rough while Mars was in Aries squaring your sun. And so that meant that others could go off and do new things, and for one reason or another, maybe you couldn't, or there were drawbacks or challenges. But that planet has now moved into a trine of your sun. And so as long as you're paying attention to what Taurus rules, which is high-priced everything and hard work, then you have nothing to fear. This is a good time for you to make a commitment. It might only be to something part-time. It might be to something that you're developing, and now you're deciding to get serious about developing it some more. Well, I think you're on the right track, Capricorn, so good luck. I hope you keep up the good work. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when, Aquarius, you have to look out for a few boulders in the road that represent financial challenges. Okay, and they're not going away. Not this month and not next month either. Because Mars and Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus is your own ruler, Aquarius, and they square your sun sign where you have Pluto, which is the co-ruler of the other fixed financial sign, Scorpio. So you've got to look everything over that has to do with money. Not just how you're making it or how you're investing it, but you have to look at the costs of what you're doing a lot more closely. How much is it costing you to do something? And actually, the main question that all four fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, should be asking themselves is, whatever I'm doing, is it really worth it? Worth it in terms of time that it takes, or in satisfaction, or in terms of what makes you happy, or what's going on? Because we can't hang on to the past. You're the sign that would know that more than anybody else right now, because your sign rules the future, and you have a heavy-duty planet in your sign now, Aquarius. It's Pluto. And yes, it's squaring Mars and Uranus in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it rules Scorpio. It's squaring the sign it rules, and it's opposing Leo as well. You are a person that should not be taking a gamble with anything, Aquarius. Not now. And not next month either. Because Mars and Uranus are, Mars just came into Taurus. Uranus is close to the end of Taurus, but Uranus moves so slowly, and it's your ruler, remember, that it's going to stay in Taurus for another year, continually squaring your sign, which it's been doing for the last 6 years, okay? But Mars is a quick mover, and it's going to move up and start conjuncting that heavy-duty Uranus, and they'll both still be squaring your sun, Aquarius, and that will, I looked that up, the exact square, or the exact conjunction between Mars and Uranus, which you could sort of think of that as really explosive, okay, and that's in a fixed financial sign. You see where I'm going with this, Aquarius? You have to watch everything that is connected with money in your life, and how much of it is secure, or how much of it is vulnerable to some sort of explosion, or some sort of downfall. Because while Mars and Uranus are conjuncting each other, and that will be between the new moon in July and the full moon in July, so that will, the exact conjunction is going to happen in the 2 weeks between the July new moon and the July full moon. And there's going to be a huge financial disaster somewhere. And it's happening in a fixed sign, so it's going to affect all the fixed signs. It could affect everybody. And that's why you need to be very careful. Ask yourself, what is my money doing for me? Is it working for me, or am I working for it? And what is the outcome here? You need to figure that out right now. And you're very lucky, Aquarius, that Jupiter is in Gemini trining your sun for a year. Because if you needed to sort of move your money around a little bit, or you needed to pick up a little part-time job, you could do it. And that might really help you out right now. Certainly it would help you out in July. You might get particularly all the fixed signs, they might get a horrible shock in July when Mars conjuncts Uranus in Taurus. We may all get a horrible shock, and it would be financial. So you have to be real careful, Aquarius, what you're doing. And as I said, you're very lucky that Jupiter is trining your sun for a whole year. And the solar eclipse in Libra in October is also trining your sun. You could make a new beginning if you wanted to, but I would do it in a way that simplifies your life a little bit and make sure that either you are working profitably for your money or your money is working profitably for you. I would really pay attention to that, Aquarius, sort of get on top of that and try not to risk losing any of it, because that might happen in July. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when, you're sort of sitting pretty, Pisces. And the reason why is that the full moon in Capricorn this weekend sextiles your sun, and its ruler is Saturn, which is in your sun sign. So they are very compatible. And it also sextiles your own ruler, Neptune, which is really at the end of your sign, Pisces, but it's still sextiling that full moon in Capricorn. And the reason you have tremendous amount of backup right now, Pisces, is because the Sun, Venus, and Mercury are in Cancer, trining your sun, where you have these planets that are all being sextiled by the full moon. What that means, Pisces, is the lights are really helping you out right now. The lights are the sun and the moon. They either sextile or trine your sun this whole weekend. Lucky you. That means that if you're moving closer to a commitment, you're doing exactly the right thing, Pisces, and that you're going to get tremendous amount of help with that. So you could be moving closer to home or back to an old neighborhood or a little bit closer to your roots and maybe how you formed your career aspirations when you were younger. Maybe you're sort of going back to that in one way or another. Nothing wrong with that. You're also going to be able to feel much more content and happy in some way with your home life or your family life. And that could be because of a move that you make to a more familiar setting. And I think it's almost time right now, really at the last minute, Pisces, for you to come home to yourself. And the stars are with you on that. The full moon and all the planets in Cancer are backing you up. And there's only one planet in a mutable sign. Yours is a mutable sign. Okay, it's got Neptune and Saturn there. There's only one planet squaring your sun, and it's a great one. It's Jupiter in Gemini. That can't hurt you too badly, Pisces. So anyway, if you're thinking of doing two things, that in a way you're moving yourself into a position that is closer to a commitment that benefits you in a calm, cool way, both professionally and personally. You're going to be able to do it, Pisces. If you haven't already tried to do that, when I do think you're thinking about that, but if you haven't already tried to do that, it might be this weekend when the full moon is in that practical sign of Capricorn that is sextiling your sun, that you form a firm plan on how to do that, on how to move closer to a commitment that will benefit you professionally, because you might live a little closer to work, and personally, because you might even move back to an old neighborhood or to your roots and the way you were brought up, and to things that inspired you in your career to begin with. And you're going to be happy with that. This is not don't waste any time this weekend on anything frivolous, Pisces. Get down to the nitty-gritty and be calm, cool, and make a commitment to what will really make you happy and who would really make you happy. And do not settle for second best. You've got backup that is sort of rare, but it's there. And the clock's ticking. When Neptune leaves, you won't be able to make a dream come true because it will be gone. And it's real close to being gone, but it isn't. Still there. And boy, do you have backup with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Cancer. And next year, Jupiter will come into Cancer and trine your Sun too. So Pisces, think pretty seriously about how you can get a little closer to work and to a comfortable neighborhood or home life that's familiar to you, so that you can feel a lot better at home and at work. You could do it. This is don't dream it away, Pisces. You have a wonderful opportunity to make yourself happy, and probably someone else. Making a long-held dream come true. And I have a feeling that since the moon will be in Capricorn, sextiling your Sun all weekend, and it's actually trining the 2 malefic planets in Taurus, I have a feeling you're going to be able to almost, you're going to move closer to commitment. And one way I think you're going to do it, Pisces, is by moving some money around to work in a little better or more economical way for you. Well, that might mean that you don't live the lavish lifestyle you used to, but you would be able to do not only what you love with somebody you love, but you could probably even do it at a little lower cost. It might be that you change your lifestyle a little bit and make it more economical. But that's good if it helps make a dream come true. And that's what your sign is all about. Miracles. And you're looking at one, Pisces. Just sit down and figure it out. You could do it. And you'd get a lot of background support from that. You might get a lot of support and not even know where it's coming from, but it'll be there. So good luck. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I'd love to have you tell your friends about that too. And you can read the blog on my website, starborninstitute.org, and that explains a little bit more about the theme of the show every single week. So until then, I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.